Hi everyone, my name is Suzanne and I'm a Chinese metaphysics master in Hong Kong. Today we're going to talk once again about purple star astrology, but today we're going to focus on the potential roadblocks that you may encounter in 2025, depending on your purple star astrology birth chart. Now, the roadblocks or sort of like the hurdles or challenges are usually associated with the Z enhancer, with the negative enhancer. And this year, 2025, this Z enhancer is with the Tai Yin Star. Now, the Tai Yin Star is not generally a negative star, but when it comes with the Z enhancer with negative energy, then it can bring certain negative outcomes that may affect you depending on where this Tai Yin Star appears in your birth chart. Now, before we look at your birth chart, let's just talk a little bit about the Tai Yin Star and what the general hurdles and obstacles could be that could be affecting you. Now, first of all, the Tai Yin Star is related to stability and the property and the assets that you own. Now, in 2025, this could mean that if you are negatively affected by this particular star, your foundation is not very stable anymore. Your assets depreciate in value, and whatever problems are happening in the world, they are attacking your foundations. So they're not just surface level, but they're actually attacking your foundations. So in a business, for example, if you're a business owner, if your foundations, if the stability of your business is attacked, then essentially everything falls apart, right? So you have to make sure that both on a personal level and also as a business owner, that your core is stable. So your core operations in a business must be stable this year. And on a personal level, that you have a core that you can rely on, whether that's family, whether that's core assets, savings, whatever. Yeah, no risky investments or anything like that. Now, the Tai Yin Star also refers to anything that is a little bit hidden. So, in today's world, that can indicate online activity and especially cyber security. So, when the Tai Yin Star is affected by a negative enhancer or by negative energies, then there could be a rise in cybercrime and in hacking. And if you personally are affected by the Tai Yin Star, as we will later show or look at in your natal chart, then you may be more prone than usual to falling for scams, to falling for um, online online lies, fake news, all of this. So a lot of people will maybe also try to hack into your system if you're a business owner. So cybersecurity is really, really important. Now, Tai Yin Star also has to do with property, has to do with protection. And what we will generally see in 2025, because this Tai Yin Star is a little bit more affected by negative energies than positive energies, is that the property market overall may experience a downward trend. So, in some cities, in some areas, it may experience an upward trend, but if we look at it globally, the property market will experience more of a downward spiral. Now, this is not just related to the property market itself, but also to your home. So because this Tai Yin Star has to do with protection and safety, it could also mean that once it's negative affected, that you within your home are not as safe as usual. So people may be more prone to environmental disasters, natural disasters, sudden violent weather events, and so on. Yeah, we may see more earthquakes, for example, as has already started to happen. We see this quite a lot. And so therefore, you gotta make sure that you are in an environment that is fairly safe and stable. Tai Yin Star also refers to true wealth. So true wealth is not the cash flow, but actually what not something that is not so fluctuating all the time. So what you actually own, that is true wealth. Cash flow comes and goes. True wealth is what you own and that cannot be taken away from you. Now, when this is negatively affected, then obviously the foundation, your financial foundation could be negatively affected as well. So you got to make sure that your financials are in such a state that even in an economic downturn, as we are expecting right now with a lot of volatility, your financial foundation is strong and solid and cannot be touched, right? So if you've invested your money into fixed assets, for example, property, that's not something that can be taken away from you necessarily. So that would be safer than if you're just investing in, short-term stock or anything like that. Now, Tai Yin Star also refers to anything that is internal. Yeah, Tai Yin means moon, and moon is something that is hidden and is sort of dark and more internal. It's something that is not necessarily seen. So when the Tai Yin energy or when the Tai Yin Star is affected by negative energies, this could then manifest in situations where people on a personal level, but also countries and regions as a whole experience internal conflict. Now, internal conflict could be uprisings, could be wars, could be a lot of social instability. But on a personal level, it could also mean that you tend to be more emotional than usual. And, once we're emotional, we tend to make bad decisions or stupid decisions. It can also lead to a lot of depression. People tend to be a little bit more restless and overthink things. Yeah, so the stress levels generally tend to increase this year. And then lastly, the Tai Yin Star also has a female energy to it. So when that is negatively affected, as it is in 2025, this could manifest in situations where we can see birth rates declining, and women will no longer be willing to have children due to socio-economic conditions. Yeah. And if the economy, if the country itself is unstable politically, economically, socially, people just don't want to have children because it's not safe. And financially, it's a heavy burden to have children. So this year we may see more and more people deciding against having children, or maybe just putting that off a little bit to see how things develop over the next few years, right? So these are the sort of areas in life or in the world that are affected by the Tai Yin Star, if the Tai Yin Star comes with more negative energies than positive energies. Now, whether or not this affects you depends on your birth chart. So not everybody is equally as affected by this as everyone else. So for that, we need to actually look at your birth chart. So first of all, you need to plot your birth chart. So you go to this link here, and I'll also post this link in the description to the video. So just go there and enter your date and time of birth. Now, the time of birth is really important for this because without the time of birth, you will still get a chart, but it's not the correct one. And input your solar date of birth, so your regular date of birth, and the chart plotter will automatically convert it into lunar time, because Purple Star or Ziwei Doushu works with the lunar calendar. Now, also make sure that you select the flying star plotting method, not the Sanhe plotting method. All right, so in order to check who is actually affected most by this particular Tai Yin energy this year, we look at the birth chart. So once you've plotted your birth chart, you will get something like this. Now this chart will look slightly different for everybody, because obviously we're different. We're born on different dates and times, but you all will have these 12 boxes. The distribution of these 12 boxes may be different, and the different aspects will likely be in different boxes. So, this is the health palace here, the travel palace, friend palace, career palace, and so on. So it may not be the same for everyone, right? So the distribution could be different. Now, what we look at is the life palace, the wealth palace, and your career palace. These are the three focus points. All other palaces, you can safely ignore them. So in this particular case, we are looking at the wealth palace here. We are looking at the career palace, and we are looking at the life palace. These are the three palaces we're looking at. Do you see the Tai Yin Star in one of these three palaces? If yes, then you are more likely to be affected by the problems or by the challenges that I mentioned earlier. If no, then you are safer. You're not completely immune against what's happening in the world, but you are safer and you're not so directly impacted. So check these three palaces, whether you have the Tai Yin Star here or not. If no, then we move on to the second criteria, and we do ignore all the other palaces. We don't care where the Tai Yin Star appears unless it's in the wealth palace, career palace, or life palace. All right. Now, let's assume you are lucky and it does not appear in any of the palaces that I've just mentioned. Then we need to look at your decade chart. So in order to get the decade chart, you need to look at the your decade luck. Now, your decade luck, in order to check your decade luck, you need to identify the palace where you have this highlighted, sort of like purple box with a red 10-year time period. It will appear somewhere in your chart. And once you've identified this, you click on this little box. And once you do this, in each box, you will then get the decade palace. Yeah, so this will be the decade life palace, decade parents palace, decade mental palace, decade career palace, and so on, right? So this is how you get your decade chart. Now, once again, we're focusing on the life palace, the wealth palace, and the career palace, but now we're looking for the decade palaces. So look at the decade life palace, the decade wealth palace, and your decade career palace. And then once again, check, do you have the Tai Yin Star in one of these palaces? It doesn't matter whether the Tai Yin Star is in a red box, green box, blue box, whatever. It doesn't matter, or whether if it's with an arrow. Just check, do you have the Tai Yin Star in your decade life, decade wealth, or decade career palace? If yes, then you are also more affected by the effects or by the negative effects of the Tai Yin Star in 2025. Yeah, so just for this 1 year. So if you happen to have both, if you have the Tai Yin Star in one of your natal life, wealth, and career palace, and it also appears in your decade life or decade wealth or decade career palace, then you got to be very, very careful. So if you belong to one of those who has the Tai Yin Star in one of the palaces that we've mentioned, then it doesn't mean that 2025 is going to be an absolute disaster for you, but you just need to be a little bit careful and you need to make wiser decisions. So first of all, what you need to do is you need to open your mind to different opinions, advice from people who you may have never asked for advice. You need to make sure that you open doors for yourself. And this can only happen if you open your mind to different opinions, to different people, to different worldviews. You need to expose yourself to people from different backgrounds, socioeconomic backgrounds, who could give you different ideas as to how to approach a problem. So this year, you need to become very, very open-minded and make sure that you listen to advice. Expand your social circle so that you do get to hear from more than just your usual circle of friends or network. And this may actually help you through the crisis. A lot of times we find ourselves in a feedback loop where basically we're just we're in this one circle of friends or in this one circle of industry network or business connections, and that puts us in a bubble where we always hear the same opinions. So it's very important that you step out of this bubble and listen to more people, more opinions, different opinions especially, because that may offer help. Now, the other thing, the second thing that you can do if you have, or if you are more affected by this Tai Yin Star, you need to diversify your income. You need to look for more than just one income stream. If you currently only have one income stream, you need to diversify and have a second one, maybe even a third one. Start a side gig. If you are unemployed, then definitely start a side gig right now. While you are looking for a job, that is fine, you know. It's fine to look for something, to look for a job, but at the same time, make sure that you build something up that you can always fall back on. So look for different sources of income, even if the income may be very, very small in the beginning, but it may grow over time. So diversify your income stream. Also, thirdly, you have to be flexible with your approach to problems and challenges, and not be so stubborn. You know, we are very used to how things used to work, and then we always try the same sort of problem-solving approach, but it may no longer be valid in 2025. So you got to be flexible with your problem-solving approach in 2025, and also make sure that you are that your cash flow is matches your liquidity needs. So ideally, go and talk to a financial advisor or go talk to your accountant and check whether you need to make changes to your liquidity and your cash flow to bring it more in line, because this year may prove to be a little bit troublesome. So it doesn't mean that it's going to be a terrible year, but you can prepare yourself for it. And then lastly, stay grounded. Do not panic. A lot of people are going to panic this year because things that are just outside of your control are seen to just, you know, make your world crumble. And you feel like you have absolutely no control over the situation. You feel helpless, you feel confused, and that will affect a lot of people. And that then often leads to situations where we ourselves get into sort of like a state of panic and anxiety. Now, you cannot allow yourself to get into that place, into that mental place. You need to stay grounded. So whenever you feel yourself panic, either use mindfulness techniques to get back to inner peace, or surround yourself with people who have a positive energy and lift you up, or do something that lifts your spirits. Maybe that is hiking, going out in nature, or maybe doing sports, whatever it is. But you need to be able to retain a positive mindset throughout the year. All right. So this is how to deal with roadblocks and obstacles in 2025, provided you are affected by this Tai Yin Star this year. So hopefully it's helped you guys a little bit navigating the challenges that we're seeing in 2025, and not to panic, right? It's just for 1 year. And even though the year may look like it's quite a difficult year, we've all been through difficult years and we've come out at the other end and we're all still here. So, you know, just keep that in mind and make sure that you adjust your actions accordingly. So let me know whether you have this Tai Yin Star in your chart or not, whether you feel that you're being affected by it and what kind of action steps you do. I'm always happy to hear from you. Put it in the comments below, or you can also contact me directly. My email address is in the description to the video. And I would really appreciate it if you gave this video a big thumbs up. If you subscribe to my channel, I post 3 times a week, and I always aim at providing you with content that is actually helpful and that you can use immediately in your life. And please also do share this video with your friends, with anybody who may be interested. All right. Thank you guys, and see you guys soon.